It is recording now. Okay, let me start over again. Well, Nicole Muir, she's a Canadian educator with a global perspective and a passion for lifelong learning. Inspired by the Reggio Emilia philosophy, creating meaningful relationships and building connections is at the forefront of her practice. With over 17 years of experience in the international community, she brings a unique blend of classroom teaching and technology training experience, along with a strong track record in educational leadership and team management. So, welcome, Nicole. Thank you for being here. The session is all yours.
That's great. Thank you, Judith, so much. Hello, teachers. Good afternoon. Nice to see so many of you here today. Welcome. So my name is Nicole Muir, and like Judith said, I'm from Canada. I've been teaching for quite a long time now. This is my 18th year, so I've been teaching for more than 17 years. I started my teaching career in China. I lived in China for 12 years in Shanghai. I also taught for a couple of years in Vietnam. And now I'm teaching students online. So my classroom is basically the entire world. It's a pleasure to be here with you today as we discuss time management. I'll share my screen with you. Is everyone able to see my screen?
Yes.
Excellent. Very good. So like Judith said, the topic of today's discussion is making every minute count, time management and balance, and the 4 core ESL skills. So throughout today's presentation, I'll be asking you to engage with me in the chat box. Please, every time there's an opportunity, if you can share your ideas, your suggestions, your solutions, your problems in the chat box, that will be very helpful for us to have a meaningful discussion today. So the first thing that I want to talk to you about is intention. Intention is sort of at the forefront of everything that we do, and it plays a huge role in time management. So I ask you, why? Why do we teach? What are your thoughts about this? Think about it for a minute and try to form your ideas in your mind. At the end of the seminar, I'll bring us back to this same topic. But why? Why do we teach? I like that. To keep communication alive among all the people you come across with. Excellent. I think one of the core reasons for me is to make an impact. Yes, Vanessa says, because we want people to learn new things and they can improve their lives. Exactly. We can share knowledge, absolutely, and help people to improve their skills. We can help people to improve their quality of life. Yes. Yes, we teach because we love teaching. Yes. Yes. Very good. Very good. And to help people achieve their dreams. Wonderful. So you see, we all have an intention. There is a reason why we do what we do. So then the next question is about balance. What does a balanced ESL class feel like? What do you think? What does a balanced ESL class feel like? Doesn't matter how long your lesson is, if it's 30 minutes with young learners or up to an hour and a half to 2 hours with adults. What does it feel like to feel balance in class? As a teacher, and even think from the student's perspective. Core skills are integrated. Students talking and teachers guiding. Letting students express themselves confidently, minimizing TTT. There we go. A mixture of skills and language. Students have the chance to speak and make themselves understood. Very good. Interaction. Yes, absolutely. Combining all four of the main skills. But then how do we do that? If I have a 45-minute lesson, do I need to spend 11 minutes on each skill? How do we really do that? How do we find balance? It feels dynamic and student-centered and communicative. Great, great answers. Very good. I think that engaging and inclusivity and supportive are also very important keys to finding balance in our classroom. Very good. Students can improve their skills and use them in context, ensuring equal opportunities. Yes, you do need to have a good lesson plan. Absolutely. But you can't have a good lesson plan without intention and purpose. Time management, absolutely. Very good. Very good. We find balance by combining the four skills, listening, speaking, reading, and writing in one lesson plan, using clear objectives, varied activities, and keeping students active and talking more than the teacher. Well done. All right. Very good. So you have a good idea about balance and what it feels like to have a balanced class. And I'm sure you've also been in the situation where a class didn't feel so balanced. And today we're going to talk about how we're going to ensure that things do run smoothly and are dynamic. So, what is your biggest time management challenge in ESL teaching? Take a minute and think about it first. What would you say your biggest time management challenge is? And this will be different among all teachers because it depends on your classroom group, it depends on your age group, it depends on the student's level, it depends on whether you're online or if you're in person, it depends on whether you see students once a week or 4 times a week. So what is your biggest time management challenge in your classroom environment? Let me know in the chat box. What do you feel is your biggest challenge? Trying to make activities dynamic, giving feedback to a large group, absolutely. Students not following instructions, that can come from a plethora of reasons. Accomplishing everything that you have planned, yes, definitely. Definitely. These are all very valid problems, and we've all faced them. Large groups, it does make it very difficult, but there are ways that we can work around that. Giving students priority time to produce. Fitting too much in one class. Enrique, that's the answer. Overloading grammar, vocab, speaking, and then run out of time. I like how you're offering fixes. We're going to talk about fixes to these problems in a few minutes. Classroom management. Losing connection. Absolutely. Very good. Very good. Thank you all for sharing your challenges with me in the chat box. So we know that language learning is comprised of 4 skills and that listening, speaking, reading, and writing are all interconnected. And that skill neglect happens when we focus too much on one and not the other. But with smart time management, we can ensure that each skill gets space without overload. And that was something someone mentioned in the chat box just a minute ago. So some general time management tips and strategies are to plan with purpose. Go back to the beginning of today's presentation. What is your intention? What is your purpose? What is your why? Go back to your why. Not only why are you a teacher, but why are you teaching this lesson today? What is your purpose? Set out clear lesson objectives and prioritize the skills based on your lesson goals and your learner needs. Structure. Structure is so important both for children and adults. Use predictable routines. Start with an engaging warm-up activity to get students relaxed and feeling comfortable in the classroom, and then continue along through your lesson plan, allocating specific time to focus on each task. You have to be thinking about time while you're planning. You can't think about time after you've finished planning the lesson or as soon as you open up the classroom to teach. You have to be thinking about this while you're planning. What is my focus? What is my purpose? And how much time do I need to achieve that goal? To help you stay on time, use timers. Whether you're online or in person, there are so many options to use as timers. I used to have sand timers and egg timers when I worked in the kindergarten. I use digital timers for teenagers and adults. I use timers on Zoom. I use my cell phone. I use a visual timer on the screen. There are so many options for using timers, but use them. They need to be visible. Students need to be able to see them. Small children can't relate to time yet, but if they see the sand draining through the hourglass, they know that time is running out. And of course, be flexible. If you see an incredibly engaging conversation or debate happening and the time has run out, you're still the boss of the lesson. You're still in charge of your classroom. You can assign 2 more minutes for them to be able to continue with their discussion, to finish it up, so that you're not just cutting that learning experience short because we reached the time. But let them know that they have 2 more minutes before it's time to move on, or 5 minutes, whatever you decide. Being flexible is important to be able to adjust based on their energy and their engagement level, or any other unexpected issues that might pop up in the classroom. But these are just some general time management strategies that you can keep in mind as you're planning every lesson. So we're going to take a look at some case studies now. The case studies work across the board with all different types of, all different age groups, types of learners, and classroom. So let's take a look at this listening case study now. An adult ESL class frequently runs out of time before completing listening tasks. Students feel frustrated and anxious during listening tests. So our problem here is that listening activities are rushed and often feel like tests and not learning experiences. Students feeling stressed. This isn't good. What kind of solutions can you think of for this problem? I'm going to give you 2 minutes now, and I'd like for you to think about it and share your notes in the chat box. And I'll set my timer here. What solutions can you come up with for this problem? Listening activities are rushed. Visual organizers. Divide listening into parts. Good. Keep it coming. We've still got another minute and 15 seconds to think and share. What are some other solutions to this problem? For the listening activity, ask simple questions and then work on the repetitions with comprehension activities. Focus on just a few activities. Have a good warm-up and focused. on their own experience at the end of each session, okay? Balance the time devoted to pre-listening while listening and post-listening activities. Visual aids. Give some extra time. Giving extra time. Helping them learn and not just survive the activity. I like that. Pre-teaching vocabulary that might be new for students. Yes, absolutely. Very good. Thank you all for sharing your solutions here. So yes, so some solutions to that problem would be to pre-teach vocabulary and context to cut down on any confusion. Also, using short and targeted audio clips instead of long, lengthy passages. Limiting your replays to one full listen and then one focused repeat. And you can also integrate your listening activity with speaking or note-taking tasks to double efficiency. So then you have your listening activity, which can then follow up with a speaking activity, and you can turn that speaking activity into a note-taking activity. Then you're covering 3 skills with 1 activity. Having a look here. Again, yes, okay, pre-teaching vocabulary or better organization for sure. Providing tips before, during, and after listening, yes. Repeating the audio a couple of times, considering these students listening might be a challenging activity. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well done. So some time management tips. We need to set a clear listening objective. Go back to your planning, right? Go back to your purpose, go back to your intention, go back to your planning. Make sure your listening objective is clear. Then, of course, time box each stage of your activity and reuse authentic audio in multiple ways. Again, we can use it for a speaking prompt. You can use it for writing a summary. There are also ways that we can adapt these types of activities by our age or setting. So if you're working with children, you add movement, TPR, visuals, and songs to maintain their focus. For teens and adults, we can use real-world tasks like note-taking or filling forms. University students, you can play academic talks or lectures and also assign certain parts of your listening activity as homework. And in language centers, using listening for task-based activities like giving directions or interviews, etc. Well done, everyone. Thank you for your participation. Let's move on to a second case study on speaking. So here we have a teacher of young teens that finds speaking activities chaotic and time-consuming, and often dominated by a few loud students. Now, the chaos might only pertain to certain age groups, but the domination by a few loud students is not only applicable to teenagers. So this is something that many of us may have experienced before. Our problem here is that speaking tasks lack structure and timing, and it leads to inequality and low speaking time for many students. So let's take another 2 minutes, and I just want you to think about the potential solutions that you would provide to this problem. I'll give you another 2 minutes, and you can share your thoughts in the chat box, please. I'm sure we've all been in this position before. Cindy, I see that you're asking to send the information. I believe that you'll receive some notes at the end of the session, and Judith will confirm that after, okay? Don't worry. Okay, Annie says, provide models. Mm-hmm. Make groups share their answers. Use timers. Use a microphone to participate. Natalie, that's very interesting. I spent a long time working in kindergarten and I didn't have a microphone, but I had a talking stick because, of course, that happens sometimes with 4, 5, and 6-year-olds. Everybody wants to talk at the same time. I think that having a microphone for older students might make for a very interesting and engaging class. Nominating students who are going to talk, giving prompts, very good. Conversation prompts, yes, everyone, well done. Let me read a few more out here. Ask students directly about the topic. Now that you have to really know your classroom well, because sometimes if you ask students directly and they're feeling shy or uncomfortable, that puts them on the spot and then they're not able to produce. It all depends on you and your relationship with your class. Nominating students, conversation prompts, more conversation prompts, very good. Do a warm-up activity to assure that they're going to be totally present, mind and body, very good. Separate students into groups and ask them to talk about the topic that they have to. The teacher can walk around the class and taking notes, making sure students are participating, very good. Visual help. And help them love creating conversation. Very good. Giving students roles, absolutely. Making them feel confident and allowing them to write, for sure. There's nothing saying that in a speaking activity you can't write anything down. You're expected to speak, but that doesn't mean that you can't take notes and write. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, a lot of you are saying giving students roles. I love this. Very good. Roles like timekeeper or summarizer. Using short timed speaking rounds so that everyone talks, mix it up, add in fun stuff, pass the mic. Very good. Very good. Well done. Well done. These are great solutions here, everyone. Thank you. So yes, working in groups, think, pair, share, setting clear time frames, setting group speaking roles, and rotating them. We always have to make sure that we do rotate those roles around so that everyone does have an equal opportunity to participate in so many different roles in the classroom. And of course, if you're online, breakout rooms can work really well. A few months ago, I had a class. There were only 4 students, and they were really shy when we were in the main session. And typically for me, I prefer to, if I only have 4, let's open it up and let's just talk right here, all 4 of us together. But they were so shy to begin. There were a couple of teenagers and a couple of adults. And as soon as I sent them to breakout rooms, they couldn't stop talking. It was fantastic. But it was very uncomfortable for them for whatever reason in the main session. They didn't feel comfortable all talking and sharing at the same time. Whether someone was afraid that they were going to overspeak or speak too much, I'm not sure. But once they got into their breakout rooms and their groups of 2, they were fantastic. So I took the lead from them and I sent them to breakout rooms for most of those activities, bringing them back to the classroom to discuss afterwards, which worked really well. If you're in person, of course, you can use speaking stations. And then again, always using your timer. Well done. Great suggestions, everyone. Thank you. So some time management tips. Limit our speaking tasks to 3 to 5 minutes with clear goals. Again, go back to your purpose, go back to your intention, go back to your plan, and make sure that you're following your timing. Sentence frames or sentence prompts, preparing those things in advance, of course. I like this one a lot, recording and reusing student audio for feedback sessions. So you can use something that they have spoken in the classroom in the previous lessons, and then reuse that as a prompt. Sentence starters, functional phrases to help speed up their output. This is beneficial for all age groups and all learning levels. And of course, rotating those partners to help increase their variety without long transitions. We know, if you know your classroom well, you know what students work well together, what students don't work well together, and you know what personality styles work well together. So make sure that you're constantly giving that variation so that one student's not always feeling like they're in the leadership role, and that another student's not always feeling like they're in the follower role. Now, adaptations by our age groups and by setting. So for children, chants, role plays, show and tell, those things work wonders with kids. For teens and adults, debate. This is such an exciting topic, and sometimes it's one of those occasions where you do have to give that extra time and be flexible, because when a good conversation is happening, you don't want to just cut it off. You want to allow them that time for that closure to finish what they were discussing. They're talking about something that they're passionate about. We don't want to put out their fire, right? Our job is to light the fire. Q&A, scaffolded presentations, all work well for adults and teens. University, presentations, seminars, discussions, and give them time to practice outside of their class time as well. Sorry, you don't give them time, but you encourage them to practice outside of their class time as well. And language centers, again, when we're talking about adults, real life situations, job interviews, customer service, any type of simulation of a real life experience. Very good. So that brings us to reading. So another case study, a university instructor struggles to cover assigned reading while keeping students engaged and avoiding long, silent reading sessions. So our problem here is that reading is treated as passive and lengthy and often consumes too much class time. What do you think? How can we solve this problem? That reading is passive, lengthy, and consumes too much time. What do you think? I'm going to give you actually 3 minutes here, and I want to take time and read some more of your responses. So I set my timer for 3 minutes for you, and I'll read you here in the chat. How do you manage reading in your classroom? All right. Okay. I think the last few comments there were still based on speaking. Start with a discussion question related to the next topic as our warm-up and make the class more active. So that's good for speaking. Sorry, I missed some of your comments in the chat. It's important to teach tempo strategies, time strategies. Okay. Divide students in groups and also divide the text in paragraphs so that we can ask them to say what that paragraph is about. Excellent. So we're chunking up the paragraphs, and you're giving the students an opportunity to read, comprehend, and then speak. There's your integration. Excellent. Encourage reading for just the first time and then speed up gradually the second time. Excellent, excellent. Can break up the reading in different parts and have students work in groups. Absolutely, absolutely. Reading circles, okay? To keep reading from turning into nap time. I break it into fast read, react, share rounds. Good. They skim a short chunk, and then you can ask a funny or real life question that connects to it. After that, they pair up and react. We do it again with a twist. Sometimes reading standing up or switching partners, it turns a quiet moment into a classroom buzz. Plus, we cover more in less time and they remember it. That sounds like fun. Thank you for sharing that one, Enrique. Very good. Students can draw or mind map the text. Okay. Making pre-reading activities. Yes. Asking students about their related experiences related to the text. Absolutely. Very good. They can work in groups, and at the end, they can answer some answers about them, answer some questions about them. Also, in the warm-up, they can put the text in order. Okay. Then they can do some activities in groups. Timelines. Yes, timelines. Advanced students practice reading strategies like scanning and skimming for sure. These are life skills. Scanning and skimming text and looking for specific information. Very good. All right. Well done. Thank you all for your participation. Let's take a look at a few more solutions. Assign pre-reading as homework and use the class for discussion. So that works with higher level students, obviously. It's not necessarily so easy with lower level English students or with young children, but it definitely works with teens and adults and those with a relatively high English level. Using jigsaw reading techniques to divide and conquer. We talked about that. And setting specific reading goals within your time limits. So again, what is your intention? What is your purpose? What did you plan this reading activity to achieve? And then come back to that. So if you're looking for gist, if you're looking for detail, if you're looking for them to be able to summarize in words after having read the paragraph, what is your purpose? Always come back to your purpose and your intention for your specific lesson. Always come back to your why. So some time management tips: focus on reading for a purpose, find that main idea and inferring tone and whatnot. Using graphic organizers to help speed up their comprehension, and limit your text length in class, high impact and not high volume. So several ways that you can do that. Some of you mentioned dividing text into groups and then having students analyze one piece of reading, one piece of text, and then be able to come back and summarize it and share with the group. And then you sit together and you have a discussion on the entire piece. You can then turn around and assign the entire paragraph again or the entire passage again for reading as homework, but everyone's already had a chance to analyze some of it and discuss all of it in the class. And what does this look like across the different age groups? Children, it's picture books, it's short text, it's matching text. For teens and adults, articles, comic books, setting reading races or treasure hunts. In university, we can talk about research articles, jigsaw reading to divide up your content, and language centers, everyday materials. What do we see in everyday life, especially language centers geared to adults? Brochures and manuals, menus, anything that we see in our daily life. All of these help students to improve reading at their age and skill level. So the last case study for our discussion today is on writing. So a language center teacher finds that students struggle to complete writing tasks in class, leaving feedback and revision undone. The problem is that writing takes too long and there's no time left for improvement or reflection. I've been in this situation many times. Writing does take a long time. It's one of the most difficult skills, and we need dedicated time for writing. But, well, what do you think? What solutions would you offer to this problem? Writing takes too long. There's no time left for improvement or reflection. Feedback. Again, I will give you about 3 minutes. Please think about it, and then share your suggested solutions in the chat box. Give them prompts. The most difficult part for students is getting started. Absolutely. We can work on brainstorming or writing preparation activities so that the writing tasks go faster. Yes. Assign them topics that they love, depending on their ages, for sure. It's always nicer to write about something that you're interested in. Giving them a model. Yeah, structure. Very good. Pre-teaching vocabulary such as connectors, adjectives, and explain what to write in each paragraph. Ask them to write about something they like, of course, going back to their interests. It's so much easier to feel comfortable and to participate in a lesson when you actually feel interested in the topic. Writing is a process, so it should be taught that way. I agree. Giving students an outline about what they should write and vocabulary. Okay. It's necessary to take time and start with short writing following a reading lesson. Okay. Very good. Got another minute here. I want to hear, there are a lot of participants here. I want to hear from more of you. Taking an incomplete text to be completed as a model. Very good. Writing doesn't have to be a marathon. I flip it, starting with quick writing sprints, then swap papers for peer checking using sentence stems. First, show them a short model so they know the vibe and the direction. It gives them the push to start strong. I time every phase like a playlist. Very good. Writing for 10 minutes, trade and check for 5, revise for 5. I love your timeline. It's fast and focused and way more fun. And nobody's stuck staring at a blank page. Very good. Highlight key phrases from the model text. Yes, important to remember punctuation. Crucial to remember punctuation, especially if we really want to be understood. Lots of misunderstandings happen from incorrect punctuation, right? Very good. Does anyone else have any other solutions they'd like to share before we move on? At the beginning, they could complete a mind map about the topic. Yes, I mean, this is all about the process. This is about organizing what you want to what you want to write about before you actually sit down and pick up your pencil and paper and start drafting, for sure. Give them an example with structure, maybe start with exercises to complete sentences so they can learn the right way. Very good. Pre-writing activities, very good. Very good. Does anyone else have anything to share before we move on? All right, let's take a look at some suggested solutions. I think your suggestions are fantastic. So, using shared writing with the whole class or within groups to model process. Breaking writing tasks into parts across multiple lessons. We don't have to finish everything in one class. And setting clear word and time limits for quick writes. So again, setting your expectations, setting your intention. When you're planning, you need to know what you expect from students. And if you expect something extremely lengthy, well, then it's probably not going to get finished in one class. So setting out what your expectations are so students are always aware of what they're required to do, of course, is extremely important as well. Sorry, I'll go back to the chat box here. Each student could write some lines to write just one story so that everyone can participate. Yeah, shared writing, that's fun. Brainstorming in a visual organizer with keywords and draft, absolutely. This is all part of the writing process, right? We don't just sit down with a blank piece of paper and start. You need to brainstorm, you need to research, you need to set an outline, a mind map. And everyone has a different way of writing. I think as teachers, it's important that we model a lot of different strategies for how they can do that organization and outlining component before they sit down to draft. Our goal is to prepare them and give them the skills that they need to be able to be successful. So well done. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. So time management tips for writing, using templates and sentence starters that reduce hesitation so that nobody's stuck staring at a blank page. Mini writings for 3 to 5 minutes regularly and not just writing full essays. Providing feedback. We didn't really talk a lot about feedback, but using rubrics or quick codes to save time. Definitely providing feedback, and not just corrections, but feedback on why their writing was meaningful, why you made some changes that you made. It's not only about changing grammar and punctuation, right? It's about helping them be able to really express their ideas as clearly as possible. Breaking writing into stages from planning to writing to checking, using models and templates to reduce the time spent explaining, absolutely. And many of you shared this in the chat box. And setting realistic writing expectations for in-class output. Again, we all have different amounts of time that we spend with each group of students, whether it's once a week or 4 times a week, whether it's half an hour or 2 hours per session. So we have to be realistic in what we expect them to be able to produce within a given time frame. And again, we're still looking for that balance, right? We're still looking for that balance, not that 2-hour class that's all writing, because that's not balanced. So realistic expectations for what your group is able to produce. And again, looking back at what this looks like across different age groups. For children, guided writing with sentence frames and short paragraphs, of course. Teens and adults can use prompts, story starters, group writing, which you mentioned in the chat box. University students can practice timed essays and also peer workshops. And language centers can focus on functional writing, like emails and letters. Very good, everyone. Well done. Thank you so much for your active participation in the chat box. With AI, how could students avoid copying, especially on writing tasks? You know what? That's a big one. And when I can tell you the way that I look at it. Using AI to write your paragraph it's basically like cheating. In my eyes anyways. Now, asking it to review your grammar and help you to make some changes, well, that's checking and editing. But asking it to write the entire paragraph for you is cheating. And we don't learn anything from cheating. You don't gain any skills from cheating, but you do gain skills from writing, making mistakes, and receiving feedback. So you're never going to improve if you don't make a mistake and have someone correct you gently and show you the right path. And I really truly believe that that goes for writing activities as well. I always tell my students, I'd rather read something that you've written that has mistakes in it than read something that your computer, that Google translated or that ChatGPT regurgitated for you. Because learning is making mistakes. And if we don't make mistakes, when we make mistakes, we learn. And that's part of the whole process. I think encouraging students and letting them know that it's okay to make mistakes is really important. It's really important that you set that tone, and this comes back to connection with your students. That you let them know that you're not expecting them to be perfect. No one is perfect, and no one is a master of anything after 4 or 5 or 15 classes. So expect to make mistakes, because then you're going to be able to be corrected. And then through correction, you learn, and then you don't make the same mistake again in the future. I think that's the best. That's the best way that we can deal with this. You know, it's a completely different world that we're living in now. And I think that AI is a wonderful tool. And that's not what we're here to talk about today, but was your question, Tilsa. And I think it's a very valid question. I think that this is a really complicated era that we're in now. but there are ways to make it work for us. But that goes back to my philosophy of connection and relationship building and establishing that trust with your students. And I think when they trust us and they respect us, they don't want to disappoint us. And letting them know that you won't be disappointed if they've made a mistake, that you don't want to read a paper that gets 100% because it's absolutely perfect, unless they actually wrote it themselves. That making mistakes is how we learn. We're human, we're not robots, and we do make mistakes. And it's okay to make mistakes. Even tell them that even teachers make mistakes sometimes. Very good. Anyways, I've got a couple of things, more things that I want to talk with you before we run out of time here, but that was a wonderful question. And thank you so much for that question, Tilsa. So let's go back to intention. Okay. Intention. This is what we're here for. Intention. Planning with intention. So how much time do you spend planning lessons? And when you're planning, what kind of considerations do you have to keep in mind? So just if you have a minute now, think about average time that you spend planning one of your classes. Please share how much time you spend and what you keep in mind. Yes, it does depend on the topic for sure. So then think of an average. Do you spend 15 minutes? Do you spend half an hour, 2 hours? You are spending a lot of time here planning lessons. A lot of time. So, okay, now if some of you are spending 1 hour or 2 hours planning for a class, what are you thinking about when you're planning? It is time consuming. It is time consuming because we all want to do a good job. And I will say the more skilled and practiced that you are, you will feel more confident and things will come more easily. It does. It depends on the topic, the group, and the age. It depends on the class. Absolutely. I think that we need to think about age appropriateness. We need to think about learner autonomy. We need to think about any exceptionalities that you may have in your classroom and also challenging behavior. All of those things are at the forefront or should be at the forefront of our planning, not just our intention and our purpose. Okay. Yeah, and we have to think about the objectives of the class. What are we here to talk about? So, again, thinking about planning, how can we integrate skills without overload? So, listening and speaking and reading and writing, we know that they're all combined, they're all interconnected, but how can we naturally link those skills? Listening activities can become speaking activities. Reading activities can become writing activities. And depending on your age group, reading and speaking and writing activities all work together in project-based or inquiry-based learning, where you have specific topics that students can work on together and collaborate and communicate with one another, sharing their skills and their ideas about your topic. So we definitely want to naturally link skills so that we're not overloading them. Every listening activity can become a speaking activity, covering the same topic, covering the same vocabulary, giving equal opportunities for students to practice speaking while we're in a listening activity. The same goes for reading and writing. Okay, so think about how you can integrate those skills and not overload them. We can use different AI tool or different tech tools, educational apps. There's lots of ed tech out there. Jamboard and Padlet are great for real-time writing activities, for speaking prompts. You can use Canva for integrated skills. Canva is great for project-based learning as well. Always having a timer. Those timer apps just help us to pace ourselves and to keep students on time. Just looking at the time. And does anybody else have a favorite ed tech app that they enjoy using in class, whether you're in person or online? Quizzes, Kahoot, yes, Kahoot's a fun assessment. Word wall, very good. Have you guys heard of Nearpod? I really enjoy the mountain climber activity in Nearpod. I think it's fun. Yes, Genially is great. 𝐒𝐤𝐢 has a virtual board for students to draw and write. Poly Everywhere. Menti, very good. Very good. 𝐒𝐭𝐫𝐿 Play. Excellent. Excellent. So many great educational apps out there now. We're so lucky to be teachers in this era, right? Very good. So we're coming to the end of our time together, but I just want you to think about it. What is one time-saving strategy that you think that you'll try this week? And how can you better balance the skill development in your next class? What is your takeaway today? In the area that you said is most challenging for you, with all of the suggestions and solutions that were provided today, what are you going to incorporate into your class this week or next week? Let us know in the chat box. Using a timer, it's going to be fun. Yeah, timers are fun. Anyone else felt a good time-saving strategy? Read, react, and share does sound really fun. I agree with you. And let's not say we're stealing Enrique's technique. He's sharing with us, right? Sharing is caring. Very good. Anyone else? How can you better balance the skill development in your next class? Feedback. Alexander, what do you mean by feedback? Or incorporating time for feedback? Yeah, finding out students' interests. Everything that you've learned today. Very good. Praise students that don't use cells in a non-educational way so we can take advantage of time properly. Good. Start with a clear objective. Yes, remember your intention, your purpose. Break tasks into chunks using models to guide faster writing. Setting timers so that no skill takes over. That's right. Absolutely. All writing tips, graphic organizers. Very good. Very good. Excellent. 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 Very good, everyone. So to close, let's remember that intentional design, those integrated skills, beats multitasking and bouncing around and trying to just cover everything any day. Be intentional with how you scaffold and sequence skills. We're looking balancing skills, planning, but not pressure. Okay, effective time management will give our students a voice in every single class. And appropriate time management includes that beautiful blend of structure and flexibility. So I'd like to leave you with just a lovely quote from one of my favorite educational philosophers, Loris Malaguzzi, the founder of the Reggio Emilia philosophy. Learning and teaching should not stand on opposite banks and just watch the river flow by. Instead, they should embark together on a journey down the water. Through an active and reciprocal exchange, teaching can strengthen learning how to learn. I really enjoyed spending the afternoon with all of you wonderful teachers here. Thank you so much for your engagement and your activity in the chat. It was wonderful to hear from all of you. It's so inspiring to know that there's such a global great mind of teachers out there. And it was truly a pleasure to be here with you today. Thank you all so much. And Judith and Macmillan, thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Nicole. It was a very meaningful workshop. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining today's session. Participation was great. Yes, it was great. It's been
amazing.
A pleasure. Yes, it's been a pleasure having you all with us, and we truly hope it was a valuable experience. Just as a reminder, teachers, you will be receiving your certificate of participation via email, okay, in the coming days. So please keep an eye on your inbox. Don't forget about that. And also don't forget that we have more online workshops coming up throughout the year. And we love to see you all there, of course. And also to make sure you don't miss any updates, remember we have a WhatsApp group where we share these kind of announcements, yes, of our coming events, ELT events, and some reminders as well. So if you haven't joined this group yet, let me see if I can share the link with you in the chat box. Hold on a second. Okay, yes, there you go. There is a link that I just shared with you on the chat box, so you can join the group and get all these kind of reminders of our coming ELT events, online workshops, etc. Okay, any questions you might have, you can also contact me in private through, well, you cannot chat on that WhatsApp group, but your leader, your coordinator must have my email or WhatsApp number. You can contact me anytime. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a nice day. See you. Thank you, Nicole. Hope to see you soon. It was
Thank you
great.
so much. Thank you so much, Judith. Thank you, teachers. Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.